another package for the beater to baller build video here. Let's see if I can get this in the house. It's a pretty big package. Watch out, monsters. Watch out, monsters. Whew. This is very well packaged so far from what I can tell. You know, granted it's got all the bands on it, and all the bands are taped down so they don't get snagged and ripped off, so that's cool. Let's get this open and I'll show you what we got. Alright, so I got the box opened on these $200 coilovers, and they're packaged pretty well actually. But I mean, for a eBay company, obviously they put a little effort into selling your product. So a little customer card, obviously a lot of random foam, and let's lay one out here. Honestly, it looks like a pretty decent piece considering some of the coilovers I've used before. So that's pretty cool. Be a nice little addition. Alright, so we got the Civic up in the air. I went ahead and got all the factory suspension pulled out. You know, it's all pretty easy. Obviously there's a couple bolts up top. You got one lower bolt and then one bolt in the side of the fork there, and that all comes out. And then the back ones, obviously you've got two upper bolts just like the top on the top hats, and then your inner and outer. And I ended up, this inner one here actually got stuck inside the old bushing of the control arm here, and I ended up just cutting it on both sides, cutting the bolt on both sides, and then ended up just threading that there's the other half of the bolt there, you know, and just unthreading it out of the trailing arm there. But anyways, we got all the stock stuff out. I'm going to get, what do we got going on here? That's all falling out. I'm about to fix that. But yeah, got all the new Max Peating rods. It's a really weird name, but you know, whatever. As long as they have a decent product and for the price, can't really beat it. It's kind of a no-brainer. But anyways, I'm gonna get these out of this box and throw this foam away and start trying to set up the suspension before I put it on the car. Cool, this out with all new bolts. So that's rad. And they send them with these little collars, which I think I may have to use them. I think the bottom of these actually, my spanner wrenches. I think the bottom of this might be, yeah, I think it's a little smaller diameter. So I think I'm going to have to use these collars. Which is kind of weird, but if it works, it works. You know, these collars for these coils here. Because the base of these here, but you can't even really see what I'm doing here. I think I'm going to have to use these collars on these because the base of this old one, I believe, is bigger diameter than this one. These are bigger than this, so I have to use these little spacers here so that the fork will clamp on them. Alright guys, turn the fan off here. This is probably a little premature and I probably shouldn't show anything yet, but I got the front. I just kind of roughed in overall length of the coil, or overall length of the shock, and kind of gave it like, I basically preloaded the spring just a little bit and then measured the length of the stock shock and then subtracted like an 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 to it, thinking I'd get roughly 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 worth of, you know, and granted the spring rate and stuff will change all that. But look at this thing. I've got just about 1 finger that I can fit in here. I raised this driver's side up a little bit more than the passenger side, mainly because once I sit in the car, obviously it's going to change. But it's not like laid out, but I don't want it to be completely slammed because this is just going to be a daily driver. But I mean, I think it looks really good, and I'll know more whenever I get the back on and get the back sitting on the ground, and then go from there. But I put it up on these blocks because I wanted to check the toe on it, which the toe's kind of wonky anyways because it needs an inner tie rod. So I'm not going to do much driving on it this way, but it shouldn't be bad enough that it's going to, you know, wear out the tires in a day or two worth of driving, because I've got inner tie rods and outer tie rods and new rack boots coming for it that I'm going to install on it too. So anyways, let's get these back put on and see if we can sit this thing down on the ground. All right, boys and girls, so I'm sitting outside here staring at the little Civic. Like I said, this build was kind of a beater to baller. You know, granted it's not a nice car by any means, but it's a lot nicer than it was. You know, like I said, tried to give you a breakdown of pretty much everything that I've put into it and what it costs to build something like this. You know, if you can get a decent deal on a car. I actually, you know, in all reality, I got a smoking deal on this thing. You know, for me personally, but if somebody else would have bought it, you know, and didn't know how to work on cars themselves, or, you know, had to pay a bunch of people to do work on their car for them and stuff like that, you know, something like this, you know, would be a pretty costly project. The car's, like I said, it's got its dents and dings and bruises and very minor amount of rust. I may end up, depending on, you know, how long I keep the car, because I can't ever seem to keep anything very long, I may end up having my buddy Logan PDR the car, you know, try and get some of the, you know, majority of the dings out of it, depending on what he charged me. But like I said, you know, coilovers, rear lower control arms, wheels, tires, brakes, alternator, you know, new valve cover gasket, you know, gutted the interior, stripped it, you know, detailed it all, and I had to put a new head unit in it, or stereo, and then 2 new door speakers. And right now, total what I got in this car, including the purchase of the car, granted I still got a couple other little things that I got to do to it. I got to replace the windshield in it because the windshield leaks, and then I got to put a muffler or some kind of exhaust system or something on it. But as of right now, total what I have in this car is right about $1,850. So just take that in consideration. I probably shouldn't tell people that, because when the time comes and I go to sell it, you know, everybody's gonna be like, well, you got $1,800 and I'm gonna give you $1,800 for it. Sorry, that's not how this works. You know, if somebody were to build something like this, and granted, like I said, it's not a nice car, it's not a fancy car, but even so, you know, somebody were to buy a car like this, with decent mileage, you know, that ran and drive, you know, would run and drive, you know, they would spend probably $4,000 or $5,000 on a car like this, putting something like this together. And I've never been one of those people. I've always, you know, I was raised where we worked on all of our own cars, we did all of our own work, you know, we tried to make things work for stuff that we didn't have, you know, and all that stuff. And I thank my dad for that, you know, for bringing me up in, you know, in a lifestyle where, you know, you made do and you did what you could with what you had. So anyways, let's show you this car. So like I said, I'm super pumped about this thing. I really like the way this car looks, and granted it's not as low as I want it to be, but it's functional. You know, the car is lowered probably, I don't know, maybe 2 inches tops, you know, and it's not slammed or anything like that, but it's lowered and it's functional. It's still got the inner fender liners in it. I don't have to worry about, you know, every corner I take or every bump I hit. I don't drag the bottom off this thing. But anyways, let's show you what we got. Like I said, you know, I still got to trying to finish taking the glue from the moldings off of it. There's no muffler, you know, and it's got its dents and dings and bruises. I put new drilled and slotted rotors up front. The back drums need to be painted. Oh yeah, and I forgot about the lip too. I'm gonna put new headlights on it. I'll probably do like a CTR replica headlight. I put the CTR grill in it, but I mean, other than that, I just love this thing. It's probably one of my little favorite cars I've had at this point, honestly, because it's nice enough I can get in it, drive it, and I don't have to worry about tearing it up, you know. Only thing I gotta worry about is the curb and the wheel. But I mean, she's classy. She's a classy girl. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Like I said, just a small build, little, you know, beater to baller, little budget daily driver build. Anyways, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, keep following us along, you know, hit the thumbs up, tell your friends, you know, we just want this channel to grow and keep being able to bring cool projects to you guys.